Welcome to DAO Deep Dives, where we interview DAO founders, core DAO contributors, and everything else on the periphery of decentralized autonomous organizations.
And we're off to the races.
All right.
What's up, Solve?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Episode 0, pre-episode for episode 1 for DAO Deep Dives.
Yeah, let's go. What do you want to talk about? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, why are we doing this? Because we didn't have enough to do in our lives, I guess.
I know. Let's squeeze this in.
So, DAO Deep Dives is an idea I had after the World Economic Forum in Davos. I have been into DAOs for quite a while. Like everything about it, I think it's the future of work. And I want to talk to as many people who are DAO founders and core contributors and just my peeps. And I figured what better way to do than starting a podcast. And here we are.
That's it. I've been in Web3 for a long time. I first found Bitcoin in 2011 and Ether in 2015. And ever since then, just been absolutely hooked in the industry in several different facets. One thing I know not a lot about is the inner workings of DAOs. And so I'm here to learn. I'm here to interview. I'm here to talk to people and be co-host next to Sven here to dive in and get as deep as possible with these guests to really uncover what DAOs are going to be doing in society and the effects that they will have into the future.
Fantastic. So I guess this is our why. Simon would be proud. Start with your why. But who are we? Talk a little bit about yourself beyond getting into Bitcoin and all of that. Like, what's your background?
Yeah, sure. I was managing events, doing audio engineering and running a record label when I discovered Bitcoin, and it just derailed everything else. And I started to really only care about what is this new technology and why is it possible to do these things that we weren't able to do before? And then what else can be done around this technology? And I was just sitting in with my thinking cap and wasn't going very far, honestly, until Ether came along. And when I discovered Ethereum and that you could have fully executable applications on chain, things started to really make sense for me. And then I just decided to dedicate all my time to it. Let's see. Sven, you were an entrepreneur as well, right?
Yes. I've been in technology pretty much all my life, worked for corporate America for a little while. And it jumped off. Yeah, the man.
Yeah.
Jumped off once I could. And the background in electrical engineering, software engineering. So engineering in general, I like technology, jumped naturally into software engineering and Web 2, did a little bit of everything as a service, as to make money, and then started a couple companies, most of them not super successful, some of them semi-successful. The last one was in the out-of-home ad tech space, actually. Went through an accelerator program. Besides my Web 2 ventures, I started a DAO last year called Lime DAO, which is in the broadest sense, it's an investment DAO adjacent, which means we don't have our own fund, but we are focusing on sourcing and due diligence and supporting founders.
That's cool, like due diligence as a service. Oh, that's super awesome.
Yeah. How about you? What's the groundbreaking ventures you built so far and which one's tanked?
Oh, wow. I wish I had started a groundbreaking venture. No, I think I've mostly been in entertainment. I had a promotions company throwing live events, then also a small record label. And then I had a cafe and a coffee company, which I sold. And that was just a ton of fun. I'm just like a fanatic about coffee. In fact, we could spin up a whole nother podcast about that. There's plenty to talk about. From there, just worked on several different crypto related projects with various teams, from being an advisor to a company that's recently gone public to just smaller companies from Web3 gaming and everything in between, really. And then also just being a consultant to private clients and small to medium businesses and just helping people understand and begin to get their toes wet with Web3, crypto, and custody. Right, and really understanding those sorts of things.
Yeah, so we're drifting into actually a question we should probably answer for our viewers, right? This is the first time you guys see us on air. We talked a little bit about why we're doing this, but what do we think this podcast is about?
Yeah, I'm just going to say we're going to flip the definition to decentralized autonomous ocean, because it's so deep and there's so much to explore. And what's fascinating about the ocean is we actually know more about outer space than we do about the deep parts of the ocean, right? And so it's just incredible what there is to be discovered there in a very real sense, in a literal sense, and also in the sense of DAOs, because we're not sure how much these organizations are going to affect society in the future, which is absolutely fascinating because we can live in a very different sort of society 20 years from now, 50 years from now, based on the work that we're doing today. And I'm excited to discover exactly that.
Love it. So just building our brand pitch here live on air. I love it because this is evolving, right? I think we talked about this behind the scenes a little bit. I'm a big believer in optimizing towards speed and action rather than perfection, and strive to make whatever the venture is you're on perfect over time. And with this very much being a venture, it's not a very lucrative venture at this point, but a venture nonetheless. And I think we can not only measure outcome in dollar signs. I think that's also probably true for many DAOs. There isn't a clear path to making a ton of money. Neither is there one for us with a new podcast in 2023. However, the connections we can establish, not just for ourselves, but even more importantly for the people we're talking to and that DAO ecosystem, I think are going to outweigh any time commitment or any other overhead we have through it, right? So that's kind of my hope, that we can shine a light on others, shine a light on the DAOs that are already successful, that are popping up, and try to communicate what this is all about. I think underlying DAO Deep Dives, actually no, overarching DAO Deep Dives is educating and onboarding. So that's my hope for DAO Deep Dives, is to make this topic accessible for many more people.
Yeah, it's all synergistic, right? Any good entrepreneur knows you just continue to deliver value to your clientele, continue to focus on the value that you're delivering, and expand the amount of people, organizations that are able to benefit from that value. And I think that not only we're going to do that in this podcast, but also our guests are seeking to do that as well with their own DAOs, I would say in most cases. That's the focus, and I think it's pretty synergistic, and watching that come around cyclically will begin just to 1 + 1 = 3 sort of scenario.
And that's a wrap. Sven and Solve are your hosts for DAO Deep Dives, a podcast about all things DAO. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time.